Welcome to Behind the Veil TV. I'm your host Pierre, and thank you for tuning in today. Before you leave this channel, please don't forget to comment, like, and most importantly, subscribe to this channel. Today, my topic I'm going to be talking about will be straight to the point. I'm going to be brief with it, and I'm just going to share my commentary on how I feel about the situation. I want to talk about Jay-Z. A lot of people saying Jay-Z is a sellout because he is working with the NFL, and we know how challenging the situation was in terms of NFL going against people kneeling and not really supporting those who felt like they wanted their voice to be heard when it came to the national anthem, and kneeling because they felt at the end of the day that why should I kneel when nothing on our side is working in our favor. In terms of Jay-Z, is Jay-Z being a sellout? I'm gonna be straight and frank to the point. I think we as a people, no matter what color we are, what our background, where we come from, we gotta understand that in Hollywood, and this kind of reminds me of Monique. I see Monique a lot on YouTube. She hosts a lot of interviews with people, and she talk about how she feel like a lot of African American people do not support her in terms of her asking Netflix for more money, and she said if more people would come out and speak against African American people not being paid their proper pay for what they've worked for, that she would have been able to gotten more money. So when we see Jay-Z working with NFL, people say, well, he's a sellout. At the end of the day, I think people have to understand that just because a person has your pigmentation doesn't necessarily mean at the end of the day that they're going to back you. Just because you're buying their music, just because you think that they're supposed to just be on your side, that they're going to be on your side. This man is an entrepreneur. He has the opportunity to succeed and to work with prominent multi-millionaires. He's going to take that opportunity. At the end of the day, he's not worrying about what we think or anybody else think. He's thinking about, at the end of the day, Beyonce and his kids and those who are in his inner circle. We have to come out of that mentality that people are for us, whether it will bring a positive change or negative change. In his eyes, he see opportunity. He doesn't see us or this person or that person, because you can ask me a couple of questions about kneeling at the flag and I may have a different answer. I may have a different perception on that. I'm not going to get into how I feel about that situation, but I'm talking about when people jump to the ball and say he's a sellout. Well, how you know he supported that in the first place? You don't know. So at the end of the day, this man is focusing on his opportunity. Rightfully so. We have to come out of that mindset that we assume that people are going to automatically defend us and protect us. We live in a society where we have to understand that people are working tirelessly for them, not for anybody else, but for their good, for their purpose. And when you understand that, your life becomes more fulfilling. You understand that the battle is not everyone around you. The battle might just be for you. So in this instance, if you feel that he has done you a due diligence, that you feel like he has done you wrong, what will you do better? I believe it was John F. Kennedy who said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And in this instance, ask not what somebody else can do for you, but what can you do for yourself. A lot of the people, you'll be surprised, who you support every day may not be in your best interest. A lot of people who you praise and glorify every day may not be in your best interest. Too many of us, and when I say us, just people in general, are allowing celebrities to be the role model for our children, are allowing celebrities to be the role model for our lives. Stop depending upon other people and focus on what you want to do. Focus on what you feel is best for you. And I guarantee you, if you start living your life in that way, none of this will bother you. You'll see that this man just going after what? He's going after this opportunity. He's not worried about, the kneeling of the flag, and he's not worried about this and he's worried about, hey, this is opportunity for me to sit with the big dogs. This is opportunity for me to make money, and I'm gonna do me. And when you understand that, you have a better understanding about how people think and how life evolves. And the outcome to this may be totally different. Sometimes, and this is what I've learned, the old saying say you have to keep your enemies closer, because those around you, the people who you put in your inner circle, who may be labeled as your yes man, those who are going to just tell you everything you want to hear, those are always the right people to be around. Sometimes you got to be in the room with the ones who say, hey, you was never meant to be here. Sometimes you got to sit at the table, eat with those who spoke against you. So this could be his plan. And on the other flip side, it could be, hey, this is my opportunity to make this work, and at the end of the day, the hell with the rest. So you got to understand how the situation is evolving. So when I hear people say, he's not doing this and he's not doing that, who are you to say what he's doing and what he's not doing? We don't really know the outcome of that. What we have to understand is this is this man's opportunity to do what he wants to do, and we'll just let it play out and see how it works. And who knows, because he's with the right people, maybe he can get into their ears and show them, hey, this is what we should have done. This is how we should have done this. We should have done it this, or maybe we should have done it that way. And at the end of the day, we may see a better result. But to just write it off, you got to let that play out. You got to let that play out, because yes indeed, it was a challenging situation to watch. A lot of these young men kneel, and I understood wholeheartedly why they kneeled. And people don't understand. I go back to, you have to understand, for generations, it is so easy for a person who have not been through these type of situations. And even myself, I live in Florida, and I personally have never had an altercation with an officer. Have I been pulled over several times, whether it was speeding or accident? Yes, I have. Have I had an issue with an officer? I can attest and say this. In the town that I live in, we have some excellent officers. We have officers who are very respectful. We have officers who will see you pulled over on the side of the road, whether it's a breakdown or an accident, and they'll come up and they'll help you out. I've never had a problem. But for those who have had a problem, and those who have gone through the stereotype of going through certain situations, I can't quite understand it fully, but to a certain extent, I get where they're coming from. You have to look at the history of the anger. You have to look at the history of the animosity. When a lot of these people, even including myself, you sit down and you talk with your ancestors, you talk with your grandmother, your great-grandmother, you talk to these people and they tell you their story. And you look at the fact that, there was a time where people could go and serve their country. They could go to another country and fight for their country and come back to America and still not have the rights that they, had fought for. So I get all of that, and I understand the anger, and I understand the bitterness. I understand what people are going through. But at the end of the day, you can't depend on one man to fight your battle. We're not living in a day where there's Dr. Martin Luther Kings anymore. We're not living in a day where there are Rosa Parks. We are living in a day where there's people who are saying, I'm going to get what I can get, and whatever happens with whoever else, it happens. I go back to Monique. I feel sorry for her, and I've heard her story numerous times, and I see her and I feel her pain, and I see that she's a strong woman who's fighting her best to win. But at the same exact time, I look back and I see all of these people of all races, and then what I see is people in a cage and they're being told this is where the gold is, and everybody's just fighting for it. Nobody's saying, hey, let's come up with a plan. There's 100 pieces over there. There's X amount of us in here. If we all take a certain amount, we'll walk out fine. We'll walk out okay. But that's not how our society is seeing it. Our society is saying, when I get my hands on it, I got it all. And if you don't get none, so be it. This is the society we in. So when I hear people saying he's not supporting him or he's not doing right, you can't worry about that. Do your part and keep living. Let me know what you think. This has been Behind the Veil Television. I'm your host, Pierre. I'm always open for a discussion. I want to hear your topics. I want to hear how you feel about the situation. I'm here on a weekly basis. If there's something popping up or there's something new, every now and then I'll come in a little bit sooner than that and talk about other topics. So like I said, give me a like, a dislike, whatever you feel. Let me hear what you got to say in the comment section. Till next time, this has been Behind the Veil Television. I'm your host, Pierre. I'll see you when I see you next time.
Sunshine, I've been waiting